So you guys are just gonna absolutely destroy me for making this list, but I am prepared. I have probably one of the most controversial COD Zombies map rankings of all time. You're probably gonna be very mad at me after watching this, but welcome to me ranking every single COD Zombies map I've ever played from worst to best. If there's any Zombies map that's not on this list, it means I've either never played it before or not played it enough to like fully master the map. So these are essentially only maps that I've played where I have fully mastered the map. I know pretty much everything about it, and for most of these I've beaten the Easter egg on solo. Another note is that for me personally, I always need something to do. So if there are maps that are just basically survival maps, those are going to be way lower on the list no matter what. There's only 2 survival maps on this list that will actually be pretty high, but if the gameplay comes down to get guns, get perks, pack a punch, and then survive, I have zero interest in that. So I need something to do at pretty much all times in my zombies games, which either includes an Easter egg, side Easter eggs, or just something. So just keep that in mind, because the worst map in my opinion is going to Farm. I think Farm is the worst survival map we've ever gotten in COD Zombies. It's just the most boring, uninspired map I've ever seen in my entire life. The colors are drab. All you can do is get perks and spin the mystery box. There's a terrible layout. You can barely camp. You can barely train. There's not a single good quality about this map besides that it's hard. Like, I don't even have anything else to say about it. The next spot is going to Bus Depot, which is technically more bare bones than Farm, but I like it a lot better because there's actually a place to train and a place to camp. There's the place to train right on the outside area, kind of where you open the doors on transit with the turbine. And then there's the place to camp right in that lava section to the right of the mystery box. So there's 2 styles of play that you can do there, which is really cool. And it's more challenging because you don't have any perks. Still, extremely bare bones. Could not care less about this map. The next spot is going to Groston House, or however the frick you pronounce that. That's that one World War II map where you were literally in like the tutorial house. You know, it was cool. The reason it's higher on this list than the other 2 is because it had some side Easter eggs. So you could like unlock the mystery box and stuff, which is really cool. Like, it was a very cool way to add a little more flavor to a survival map, but I just don't care. I really just don't care. I mean, World War II Zombies was terrible to begin with, but I just don't care. The 33rd spot is going to Knocked. And yes, I know you guys are going to hate me for this, but objectively, there's nothing to do on this map. Unless you play one of the 7 remakes, there's no perks, there's only a mystery box and wall buys, and that's literally it. So it's a good bare bones map if you like bare bones, and it's definitely one of the few maps that actually has some element of horror in it, but I just hate survival maps, so there you go. The next spot is going to Transit. You guys are probably very surprised that it's this high on the list. Transit is not a good map, but the thing is, it's so bad that it's good, you know? Like, it's so bad that it's actually fun with friends. It's just such a chaotic map, and there's just so much going on. Like, if you're just playing just to have a good time with your buddies, it's fun. Like, it's good for that. And it actually has a lot of different mechanics, which, you know, they may not be good mechanics, but at least those mechanics. You have to do a quest to do the Pack-a-Punch. There's an Easter egg with 2 sides. You have to do essentially a quest to turn on the power. There's multiple different traps that you can craft. Like, there's actually quite a bit to do, surprisingly. It's just that everything you have to do is really poorly designed. But with that being said, it's still fun to do with friends, especially people who are really inexperienced with zombies. Okay, the next spot is going to Vrucht. Same thing with all the other survival maps. This one I actually just kind of enjoy more because it just has a lot more character. It's actually kind of scary. It has really good sound design. There's some fun weapons, and it has more unique mechanics, like, you know, the 2 teams being split up at the beginning of the game, which only lasts for a couple doors, but it's still kind of a cool gimmick. The next spot is going to Outbreak, and I am talking about the Advanced Warfare map, the very first one. I just thought it was extremely bland, and I didn't really like the gameplay of Advanced Warfare. This was the only Advanced Warfare map that I played, though, and I just recently played it too, just to try to beat it and see if I had differing opinions on it. I didn't. It was still pretty bad. And people said that this was one of the best maps of Advanced Warfare, so I just had zero desire to play the rest. But if you guys want me to make a video playing the Advanced Warfare maps for the first time, let me know in the comments. The next spot is going to the Final Reich, which is the first map of World War II Zombies, and this is pretty much the same exact thing as Outbreak. I did not like the gameplay mechanics of World War II. There was no personality. It was really bland. The colors were dull. The mini bosses were annoying. It just got stale after like one playthrough. It pretty much just felt like every other zombie game that's on the market that tries to go for the horror theme, so I just didn't really like it. And people also said that was the best map of World War II, so I had no desire to play any of the other ones. The next spot is going to 5. 5 is a survival map, but it's better in the sense that it's a challenge map, which is what I enjoy. I enjoy a good challenge, but it's not particularly a well-designed challenge map because it's not meant for zombies. They built it for the campaign. However, it's definitely still a fun map to play with friends and to like challenge yourself to a high round, but I am just a Black Ops 1 hater. I do not like most Black Ops 1 maps, so just bear with me. The next spot is going to Shino Numa. As you can tell, the World at War maps just keep getting better in my eyes. Shino Numa was just a massive expansion of what the previous 2 World at War maps were, and it introduced a new wonder weapon, hellhounds, randomized perks, and most importantly, a central hub with branching paths, which is my favorite map design in all of COD Zombies, which you'll see a lot later on this list. So it kind of introduced wonder weapons, hellhound rounds, which in some form or another are in every single Zombies game, and this map design, which has continuously returned. I think it was one of the most important stepping stones for COD Zombies, and I think that's part of the reason I rank it higher on the list. The next spot is going to Ascension. Ascension is cool. It has the first Easter egg, and it has kind of a quest to get Pack-a-Punch, which is a little more unique than a lot of the other Pack-a-Punch systems, but it's just super easy, so it's really boring after like 10 rounds. And those freaking monkeys are the most annoying things in the whole world. I don't want to buy perks just for them to be stolen, but it was cool if you killed them without them touching your perks, you get a free perk, so that's kind of nice. All right, the next spot is going to Nuketown. Nuketown's kind of like 5 in the sense that it's simply there for a challenge, but I think the reason I ranked it higher is because it's a very good practice map. Because on Nuketown, you have to train. There is no such thing as camping on Nuketown, and learning how to train the zombies is one of the most crucial things in Call of Duty Zombies, because that's how you build your awareness of your surroundings. So I think for that simple fact alone, it's a good Zombies map, and it's just extremely chaotic because you can just not get Jug until like round 20, which is insane. The 24th spot is going to Kino der Toten. I swear this is the most overrated map in all of Call of Duty Zombies. It's extremely bland. All it has is a mystery box, perks, and a Pack-a-Punch, and it has barely any Easter eggs. This is single-handedly the most nostalgic map for people, which is why people like it. Yes, it's a good survival map, but it's just there's nothing to do after like round 11. It's definitely fun with friends. It's definitely fun for casuals, of course, but I am not a casual, and I find any casual gameplay of Zombies to be extremely boring. But I definitely had a lot of good memories on this map. The next map is going to Forsaken. This is the final map of the Cold War series. This was the only map in Cold War that I had absolutely zero desire to finish. I played it once and then I never touched it again. It was kind of cool. It was pretty. The map design was one of the worst things I've ever seen. They literally just took a campaign mission and then put teleporters in between different spots. It was terrible. And then the boss enemy was basically a Margwa with a ranged attack, if I remember correctly. The wonder weapon was kind of cool. It was like an axe that turned into an SMG straight out of Halo. So like there were some cool aspects of it. Some really, really good mini Easter eggs, like the Dreisendrach Easter egg, the RCXD Easter egg. Like there was a lot of good content in there, but none of the content was totally interesting. Like it didn't keep my interest at all. I had zero desire to complete the Easter egg, and I'm a huge Easter egg fanatic. So I don't really know. This was just my least favorite map of the Cold War series. The next spot is going to Firebase Z. This was definitely a step up from Forsaken, but it's just still so basic. Yes, there's an Easter egg, but the Easter egg is so easy. You can basically do it on your first attempt if you're ignoring the mimic step, because no one knew how to do that on their first attempt. Overall, it was a decent map. Like it was pretty good. It introduced the Ray K, it introduced the order rounds. The boss fight was finished in 3 seconds. So there were some good things, some bad things. Unpopular opinion, I actually thought the mimic was a cool idea. It was just executed really poorly. I just wish that if they made mimics pretend to be other things than just drops on the ground that were extremely obvious, they would be much better. The next spot, which you're probably going to be extremely confused why it's so high on this list, but that is going to the Beast from Beyond. I know, stop puking in your mouth. I know. I am a huge simp for Infinite Warfare Zombies. This is just objectively the worst map of the 5, but it still has redeeming qualities. The wonder weapon is trash. The layout is trash. The boss fight is terrible. The first 3 rounds of the game are terrible. The ninja zombies are terrible. There's a lot of things that are terrible about it, but it's almost so hard to the point where I actually kind of enjoy it, unlike some of the other hard maps, because this is actually hard, but it has an objective. Whereas like 5 or Nuketown, your only objective is to survive, and I find that really boring. This has an objective to get past the extremely difficult and the extremely unfair boss fight, which if you want to see my attempt on Beast from Beyond, feel free to check out my most previous video, or it'll be linked on the top right. But I think it's one of the most underrated maps in the entire franchise, but there's not a lot of redeeming qualities besides how easy it is to get double Pack-a-Punch, the fact that it has ghosts and skulls, and the fact that the VPR is a wall buy, which is incredible. All right, the next spot is going to D Machine. This is definitely the one map that I had the most playtime on in Cold War, but all of the playtime had nothing to do with the map itself, and more so the fact that I just wanted the Dark Ether camo. So it was a good, simple map which took you back to the roots of zombies compared to what like Black Ops 4 was. But it was just so easy, and I hated that about Cold War. They catered to all of the casuals, so the Easter egg was like the most bland thing ever, and they legitimately told you how to do it in the map. I am a sucker for complex Easter eggs that you actually have to look up a guide and actually study, because I think that's way more interesting than like click F on this and then wait for these guys to talk and then wait for an unskippable cutscene. It just didn't feel very interactive, and all of the elemental wonder weapons were like, they were kind of cool, but they just didn't feel like they had a lot of character. And the map itself, like, people said it was a Noct remake. Those people are literally insane. People who think this is just Noct reimagined are completely insane. That was not even a tenth of the map, and it didn't even feel like Noct. But I think they overall did a really good job, and the mechanics of Cold War are definitely the best part, but that obviously has nothing to do with the map. But the next spot, please don't kill me, is going to Call of the Dead. Again, I do not like Black Ops 1 Zombies, and this is essentially a survival map. Yes, there's an Easter egg, but I've never done it because I'm pretty sure it requires 4 people, but don't quote me on that. I never really dabbled in the Black Ops 1 Easter eggs, but I think this map has a lot of good elements, but also a lot of bad elements. For one, I don't like Black Ops 1 mechanics. I don't like the fact that you run out of ammo twice a round. I don't like George Romero. I think he's terribly annoying. I don't like that you can't see anything. I don't like that the colors are extremely dull. There's just a lot I don't like about it, but it mostly comes down to the Black Ops 1 mechanics. So if this was remastered in some sort of Zombies Chronicles 2 that's been, you know, rumored for 87 years, then maybe I'd like it more. Okay, the next spot is going to Moon, which is by far the best map in Black Ops 1. It has a main Easter egg that's actually kind of interesting besides all the RNG aspects of it. The astronaut is kind of annoying, but whatever. He's basically George Romero, but easier to kill. And it just had a bunch of really unique mechanics like the QEDs, which did something random every single time you threw it, or the hacker device, which is an extremely interesting way to like explore what the possibilities were with that thing. And it had no man's land, which has never been done before, and was a good way to do kind of a high risk, high reward scenario for the player if they wanted to get more points at the beginning of the game. So I just thought there was a lot of good content in there and a lot of different ways to do things, which was pretty cool. And I just generally like most of the steps of the Easter egg. Next up, we have Mauer Toten, which I think is the best Cold War Zombies map. Mauer Toten is the only Cold War Zombies map that's not like Military Base 1, Military Base 2, Military Base 3. It's the only map that actually has a little bit of character. It has a pretty decent layout. I actually think they did verticality pretty well. It has Klaus, which automatically adds a bunch of character to the map because he's such a cool robot with a mustache. It had probably the most interesting boss fight in Cold War that was actually relatively hard if you didn't know what you were doing, supposedly. And it had a really sick wonder weapon with a mechanic that's never been done before. There has never once been a essentially elemental wonder weapon where you can pick up the different types off of the ground when you kill zombies. Like, that's really cool. And it's an interesting way to get unlimited ammo. Also, the end where Klaus is like pushing the thing into the thing, I don't even remember, but I just remember what it looks like. That part was really cool. So definitely the best Cold War Zombies map and probably the only one that I'd be interested in playing ever again. The next spot is going to Attack of the Radioactive Thing. This is also a very underrated map in my opinion. Yes, I know it has a lot of flaws. Trust me, I am fully aware. Doing the chemistry step on solo is very annoying. However, it's another one of those maps where like the steps are so bad and so annoying that once you're able to complete them, you feel so much satisfaction. Also, it has one of the best boss fights in Infinite Warfare Zombies. There's literally a part where you have to dodge lasers, which I think is so fun and so unique. I think I've maybe used the wonder weapon on the map once. Like, it's the dumbest, most boring thing ever with no personality whatsoever. But part of the reason I enjoy a map is when I've mastered it. When I feel like I know every little detail and how to do it, when I've memorized everything without having to watch an entire guide, that is really satisfying for me. And I really like the process of trying to beat the map as efficiently as possible. So like completely min-maxing every single second of that Easter egg. And although Attack of the Radioactive Thing may not have a lot of good Easter egg steps, it still has stuff for me to min-max. So I always feel like I'm doing something. I always feel like I'm progressing towards a goal, and that's the #1 most important thing for a zombies map in my opinion. Even if it's grabbing a bunch of parts, I still feel like I'm doing something, which you'll see a lot as we continue to go on this list. The next spot is going to Shaolin Shuffle, which I definitely think is better than Attack of the Radioactive Thing. I don't mind the extremely random steps of Easter eggs, like having to shoot different symbols and having to do the little Wordle step on the roof. I thought that was fine. Like I don't care if it's random. I really don't care. It still feels like I'm working towards a goal. I also think the cheese were a really cool way to implement kind of an elemental wonder weapon without it being an actual wonder weapon. And they all had different types of abilities which could fit your playstyle. I think I personally liked the dragon one a lot just because it was essentially like the electric bow from Horizon, but it was just a cool another way to kill zombies. And it was also kind of a hard map. Like Infinite Warfare Zombies is surprisingly difficult. And this Easter egg was definitely one of the harder ones because there were a lot of steps that required you to be in close quarter situations. Okay, the next 2 spots are going to the 2 best survival maps that I actually don't mind playing survival on. And #1 is going to Town. Town is just a fantastic survival map for practicing training and the fact that you can hop right into round 20 and just try to survive off of that. I think those are 2 very valuable things, and it's just a very good survival map to take your buddies on because it has everything you need, including more than just the 4 basic perks. So this is one of 2 survival maps that I actually kind of enjoy. Plus, I know this is a dumb reason, but somebody made a Town remastered on Black Ops 3's Custom Zombies, and with that alone, there's so much replayability because you can download weapons from like Cold War or Modern Warfare, or you can download gun game mods. months, which of course doesn't really change my ranking on this map. It's just an overall good survival map and is, again, only one of 2 survival maps that's actually bearable. And I think it's objectively well designed, even if I get bored after a while. And the next one, of course, is going to the Giant / Doris, mostly the Giant though. If Black Ops 3 didn't have anything to work towards regarding player level or liquid divinium or weapon level or weapon camos, then this map would probably be a lot lower. But the fact that it had something to work towards means that you had not only a very complex map of Shadows of Evil on launch, but also a very simple map, so you had the best of both worlds. So if you wanted to do a regular zombies game and try to beat an Easter egg, you had Shadows of Evil. But if you just wanted to survive and maybe level up your weapons or get liquid divinium, then you had the Giant. So I thought it was just a very good juxtaposition to Shadows of Evil, and I really enjoyed it. And I really enjoyed the layout because, again, it was that Shinonuma design with the central hub and then the 3 different branching areas. The next spot is going to Revelations. I think Revelations is also an extremely underrated map. I think Treyarch did a phenomenal job molding all of the different maps together in a cohesive way. Yes, it's kind of like Forsaken in the sense that they just put teleporters everywhere, but it's teleporters in a flowy manner. There's a central hub with multiple different islands, and it's extremely easy to get back and forth to anywhere you want to go, even though it's a huge map. And the Easter egg may be tedious, but again, I don't really care if it's tedious as long as there's something to be doing always and something to be min-maxing always. And this map had a lot of that. I wasn't a huge fan of the boss fight, but I did like the 4 different types of boss fights within the one boss fight. It was kind of like an elemental boss fight in a sense, which was kind of cool. Yes, I think they could have done a better job with it. I don't really care about the story much. So gameplay wise, I think it was pretty good and the Easter egg was pretty good. Definitely an underrated map, but I do think it was the worst original Black Ops 3 map. All right, the next spot is going to Zetsubo no Shima. Zetsubo is such a strong map and has so much to do. The only reason it's lower on this list compared to some other Black Ops 3 maps is because the Easter egg is kind of dumb. You essentially just get 3 cogs and then you do the boss fight, and the boss fight is extremely easy. You don't even have to kill anything. But I think the skull is such a cool weapon and has a really normal and good way of achieving it. I think the wonder weapon and the upgrade for the wonder weapon is actually pretty decent, besides the rainbow water step, because that's just kind of annoying. Thrashers are whatever. They're just a typical boss zombie. I don't really care. But I think overall the map was pretty cool and it had a cool vibe. It had spiders and it had some really awesome map unique weapons, like the shotgun pistols, which for some reason I'm forgetting the name of, and the HG40 and the Razorback, like multiple different unique weapons, which I wish they did on more of the maps. And the different types of plants that you can make was actually kind of cool. Like there was a lot you could do with it, and you can make a plant that literally saves your character, all of your perks, all of your weapons, all of your points. And when you die, you basically become that old self again. There's a plant that holds a crawler for you at the end of the round. There's a plant that attacks zombies. There's so much you can do with the plants, which is actually kind of cool. With that being said, we are finally on to the top 10 best Call of Duty Zombies maps in all of the zombies games that I've actually played, of course. The 10th spot is going to 9. That's a confusing sentence. I actually think 9 is a little overrated. I'm not personally a huge fan of 9. I don't really care for like the gladiator theme, so I wasn't a huge fan of the whole vibe of the map. And the Easter egg is just a little too tedious for my liking. There's a lot of stuff where you just have to wait until the next round and wait an hour for this to suck sap out of the tree. Like, I don't really like those types of Easter egg steps because you're not really doing anything. You're just waiting, which I'm not a huge fan of. And everyone talks about the wonder weapon being cool. It's literally just a wonder waff in the shape of a scorpion. So I don't think it's very unique at all. And there's not exactly a very interesting way to get this wonder weapon, but 9 is objectively a good map, even if I don't really like it. Again, it has that central location with the 4 different areas, each respective to the different gods, which I think is actually a very cool and unique idea. I think the way to get Pack-a-Punch is really simple, really easy, good for casuals, good for experienced players. So balance-wise, it was actually pretty good. If you want to just survive on it, you can. If you want to do the challenges, you can. Like, there's a lot of content in this map. And the next spot is going to the only other Black Ops 4 Zombies map that I've ever played, and that is going to Dead of the Night. I played Dead of the Night for the first time maybe like 3 or 4 months ago, and I don't know if I like it because it's a good map or if I like it after playing the entirety of Cold War, which is just really boring and really easy. I really enjoyed this map. There were a lot of parts to grab, but it made me feel like I was always doing something, and I actually kind of enjoyed it. The Easter egg was extremely long and extremely complex, which I personally really like. And it was just another one of those maps where once you study it and you master it, you feel very satisfied with what you've done. Also, a lot of people complained about the Nosferatus or whatever they're called, the vampire things. I think it was actually kind of interesting because they red screened you, which makes you freak out, but usually you'd know that they attack you, so it's not that big of a deal. But I thought it was actually kind of a good way to keep you on your toes. I thought the werewolves were cool too. They were just kind of a basic boss enemy, but you could buy silver bullets and deal with them extremely easily. I also really enjoyed the boss fight for some reason. Like having to turn the lights so that they all line up on the same square and then trapping the werewolf in it was actually kind of cool. And I haven't seen that in a zombies boss fight before. And lastly, I also really liked the wonder weapon. It had some really really interesting abilities and different play styles, even though, you know, your play styles were completely random depending on what you shot. But I still thought it was a pretty cool wonder weapon that could be upgraded. So overall, really solid map, and I hope that the other Black Ops 4 Zombies maps are as good as this. But I have a feeling they aren't. But I may play some of them for the first time on this channel. So if you want to see that, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out. All right, the next spot is going to Buried. Buried is by far the best Jimmy Zielinski map, even though I haven't played Die Rise, but I know that everybody hates it. Buried is just the perfect way to do a sandbox survival map. Yes, it has an Easter egg. I've never done the Easter egg fully because I'm a solo player, but that's not really the main point of this map. Like, this map is a survival map with actual things to do. There's so many things to build. There's so many things to do with Leroy. Leroy's kind of a similar mechanic as the hacker from Moon, where there's so many things that you can do with him. It's really fun to explore what you can actually do with him. I think there's a really interesting and rewarding way to get to the Pack-a-Punch because you have to go through the witch's house and the maze. I think the time bomb is a really fun way to completely break the game and completely exploit it to get extra perks and to get unlimited money. I think the chalk mechanic was a cool way to put wall buys wherever you want, and the wall buys were extremely overpowered. Having the ray gun Mark II and the paralyzer were two really fun wonder weapons. Like, there was just a lot of overpowered fun stuff to mess with. So it was just a good map with a lot of character. The only downside is that I think it was way too easy. Okay, the next spot is going to Rave in the Redwoods. This actually used to be my least favorite IW Zombies map when IW came out, but after replaying through all of the IW Zombies Easter eggs again recently, this one stood out way more than all of the other DLC maps. There were so many little things that you could do to min-max your game as you're doing the Easter egg, which I really enjoy, as I've said earlier. So for example, going into Rave mode gives you double points, and you get the little pouch thing to put you into Rave mode every 20 zombies. So you could easily plan out how many zombies you're going to kill and when you're going to get a pouch to go into Rave mode and get double points. I think the 4 elemental crossbows were probably the worst of the elemental wonder weapons that we've ever gotten. Not power-wise, but just mechanically. Like, they all had the same exact steps to get them, and they didn't really have any personality to them. I still really liked them. I really liked the Ben Franklin. I really liked the Acid Rain one, and I really liked the Whirlwind. I thought the Trap-O-Matic was terrible, and I don't know why anybody would ever use that. So that was probably the downside. I also hate the Slasher boss. The fact that he can essentially do a long-range attack and red screen you made this map really hard for no reason, but it was definitely a challenge and was really rewarding when you were actually able to kill him during the Easter egg steps. I also really liked the boss fight. I just kind of wish there was more of the boss and less of the zombies, if you know what I mean. And I wish that the boat ride was a little longer because I loved looking at the very pretty scenery for 20 minutes. But luckily, there's the transponder challenge. So when you take the boat ride over the first time, you can put a transponder over there so that when you come back to the main map and you want to, you know, go Pack-a-Punch or something or talk to Kevin, you can just teleport over there instantly and not have to take the boat ride. Little techniques like that make the tedious things better. Okay, we're finally on to the absolute masterpieces, and the number 6 spot is going to Mob of the Dead. I loved Mob of the Dead. It used to be my second favorite map of all time, but just bangers after bangers kept coming out and just kept replacing its spot because Mob of the Dead is starting to get too simple for me. The Easter egg is really boring. You basically just build the plane 3 times, enter in some codes, and then, you know, do the headphone step. So honestly, I enjoy all the stuff you have to do outside of the Easter egg. I enjoy getting to Pack-a-Punch the first time. I enjoy doing the dogs, getting the Hell's Retriever. I enjoy getting the Hell's Redeemer. I enjoy getting the free Blundergat and the Acid Gat and the Vitrolic Withering. I enjoy all that stuff. I enjoy getting the Golden Spork. Like, there's just a lot of really cool things, and I really like the vibe of the map. It has so much character, and character is everything in a zombies map. I also just thought it was really funny that it was the exact layout of Alcatraz itself. So one time when I actually visited San Francisco and visited Alcatraz, I knew my way around just because of Mob of the Dead, and I've never been to Alcatraz before, which is really funny. All right, the 5th spot is going to Gorod Krovi. Gorod Krovi is a phenomenal map. I think it has one of the best boss fights in Black Ops 3, and it's definitely the hardest boss fight in Black Ops 3. When this map came out, this was the single map that took my friends and I the most amount of attempts, the most amount of perkaholics, the most amount of immolation liquidations to complete. Now the Easter egg's actually pretty easy because people have optimized it. So like for the Valkyrie escort step, you can literally just left click with your ray gun Mark III, and then the zombies don't really bother you and you don't have to kill anything. But back when this map came out, this was not a thing that I thought of. So we actually tried to do the escort steps legitimately, and it was really hard. And we didn't have the dragon wings or the Mangler helmet when we went into the boss fight. So the boss fight was even harder than it should be. But overall, I thought the content was interesting. The dragons were really cool. Unlocking Pack-a-Punch was cool. The G-Strike was a cool alternate monkey bomb. The ray gun Mark III was an awesome wonder weapon. The little baby dragon and the fist was a very cool specialist weapon. There were incredible new guns in the box like the PPSH and the FFAR. The Easter egg had a really interesting randomized 6-step process towards the end. This is a masterpiece. Like, this is an absolute masterpiece of a map. Although for some reason it's the only map in Black Ops 3 Zombies that gives me frame rate issues, and I don't know why. All right, the 4th spot is going to an absolutely legendary map, and that is Zombies in Spaceland. Spaceland is by far the best Infinite Warfare for a zombies map and competes with the top Treyarch maps of all time. It has the central hub with the 3 different branching areas. It has 4 elemental wonder weapons, each with unique ways of getting them and unique ways of killing zombies. It has literal arcade machines that you can play for tickets, and then you can use the tickets to buy different things, which is so cool. Such a cool mechanic. It has teleporters to get you around the map easily. It has a really cool, simple, normal mini boss. It has essentially the plant system from Zetsubo, but in the form of giving you different types of traps, some of them being extremely helpful for different steps of the Easter egg, especially the pop rocks or the candy pop, whatever the candy, the rock, the thing that you put on the ground and shoot them to make them flame up. Those were very helpful. And you could get the jukebox, which is essentially like a monkey bomb. And the Easter egg is simple while still being fun and rewarding. Plus the boss fight is so hard. It's definitely one of the hardest boss fights we've ever gotten in COD Zombies, or at least from the maps that I've played. And it's even harder if you're playing with people because there's more aliens. But overall, it's a phenomenal map. You can literally ride a roller coaster. Like, there's so much to do in this map, so much content, different perks, different play styles, different everything. Like, it's just such a good map, and I love the vibe of it. The 80s music that's playing in the background, David Hasselhoff, it's all just such a fun vibe. But there are 3 maps that are pretty much at the top of every experienced zombies player's list. So you guys probably know exactly what they are, and they're all in a different order for everybody. But my third favorite map is going to Der Eisendrache. This is such a good Black Ops 3 map and used to be at the top of my list, but has recently just gone down and down. I think part of the reason it's gone down is because it's actually pretty easy. You can get the lightning bow by like round 6, and that bow is so overpowered. But I really like the Easter egg. I think it's simple while still being complex. I really like the vibe of the map. I like the colors. I think the Panzer's a good boss for this map. And I think every elemental bow has its place. The lightning bow is good for camping and for killing a lot of zombies in a tight area. The wolf bow is good for training and getting zombies out of your way. The fire bow is really good for killing panzers if you want to kill panzers quickly. And then the void bow, which is extremely underrated, is very good for killing a lot of zombies. And it's actually pretty good for killing the panzer, I must say. It's just the most tedious bow to get, so most people don't do it. There's also a ton of side Easter eggs on this map, so it's just filled with content. There's the plunger Easter egg, there's the elemental plunger, there's the free gobblegum Easter egg, there's the panzer claw Easter egg. Like, there's so much to do with this map, and it's one of the coolest Easter egg endings of all time. Like, phenomenal music, and being able to blow up the moon is just such a sight to see. But there are 2 maps on this list which I think just absolutely obliterate every single other map on this list. And these maps could honestly be interchangeable for first and second. I have no idea where to put them. But the second spot, I'm gonna go to Shadows of Evil. An absolutely legendary map that everybody hated when it came out. It's so funny because this map used to be on the mid to lower end of everybody's list when it came out, and is now widely considered to be one of the best zombies maps ever made. The best part about this map is the character. There's so much character. The round change music, the vibe of the map, the colors, Morgue City in the background, the giant tentacle thing in the sky, all of the tentacle stuff in this map. It's just such a very characteristic map, and is the single map in all of Call of Duty Zombies with the most character, in my opinion. I also think it's a good, simple way to get Pack-a-Punch, and one of those maps where once you master it, it's so satisfying, because it's really satisfying doing everything you need to do in beast mode in one go. It's really satisfying being able to absolutely optimize the map as much as possible, like getting Pack-a-Punch open by round 4, getting the sword by round 5 or 6. It's just so satisfying knowing exactly what to do and how to do it perfectly. And the wonder weapon is one of the coolest wonder weapons we've ever seen in all of Zombies. Plus, it's pretty balanced without gobblegums because it's a limited amount of ammo. Of course, gobblegums make it so you don't even need to worry about the ammo. The meatballs and the parasites, although simple, are really cool mini bosses and kind of switch up the gameplay a little bit. The flag step is one of the most intense Easter egg steps of all of Zombies. The boss fight is extremely underwhelming, I must say, but that's okay. And the final step where you have to run the train over the gateworm and everybody zap their train tracks at the same time is such a fun step with phenomenal music. And it's just, it has that end game feeling, you know? Like, you really feel like, oh my God, this is the last step. Are we going to be able to do this? Such an incredible map. Again, with that Shinonuma layout with the central hub and the 3 different branching areas. I guess 4 because of spawn, but you never really need to go there. I absolutely love this map, and I can guarantee you that every other experienced Zombies player also enjoys this map. But of course, if that's the second place spot, you know what the number 1 spot is, and that is going to Origins. Origins just has so much to do, especially on solo, which is why I really, really enjoy it. It's such a vibe. Like, I think Origins has a lot more flaws than Shadows of Evil, but there's just so much to do and so many good elements that it makes up for all of its flaws. It's one of the harder Zombies maps, especially for a solo player, because you have to do so many different steps. And the biggest flaw is for all of the heavily RNG steps, which is especially apparent on solo because you have to wait for the middle robot on the rain fire step to have its foot open. So having to wait is really annoying, but I think overall the Easter egg is really fun. Obtaining all the staffs and upgrading all the staffs and being as efficient as possible all the time is exactly what I enjoy enjoy in a zombies map and is exactly what I look for in a zombies map, as well as having so many side Easter eggs like getting the golden shovel or the golden helmet, being able to get essentially a perkaholic for free out of dig sites, being able to get the G strikes or the thunder fist, which is part of the Easter egg, but it's still something you can do if you're not doing the Easter egg. The 4 staffs all have their place. The ice staff is good for camping and is good for killing a lot of zombies, but is not good for killing the panzers. The lightning staff and the fire staff are really good for killing panzers, but are less good at killing zombies quickly. And then the wind staff is the wind staff. But overall, there's just so much character, and it's such an iconic map that has so much to do all the time, and that is why it is the best map in all of zombies in my opinion. Let me know in the comments what you agree or disagree with.